Hi YouTube. So we're back with another coaching video, and hopefully, going forward, we're going to be doing a lot more of this content. And yeah, I'm excited to kind of get the channel going again. But for today, we have a Platinum 3 Ana player who says they're having trouble climbing. They watch all kinds of videos, content, and nothing seems to be working. And I think I know why, and I think I can help. I think it becomes somewhat evident in this gameplay what the problem is. I think almost they're taking too much of that advice and turning it to 11, and so you'll see what I mean. But we're gonna get into this, and here we go.
ازيك
Three, two,
اهلا
one.
عامل ايه
Round one. Capture the
ازيك
objective.
يا
Let's get this show on
ازيك
the road.
يا
Okay, so just right off the bat, I think Platinum's around the time you want to really start looking at team comps. I think before then, you can just play almost whatever, and it's gonna be fine. Um, I know that's not necessarily like I know you can make the argument, oh well, you know, just because it's gold doesn't mean that if I pick an optimal pick against their comp, it's not going to make a difference. It is, but I think when you're down that low, it's really more about just building on fundamentals and just pure mechanics, and then once you get those ironed out, you'll climb out no matter what you're playing. So right now, around this platinum rank is when you're gonna start to see people form somewhat coherent kind of team compositions. But I'm not saying it's gonna be Overwatch League down here. But what I'm saying is, you know, you got over here. You got we can't see, you know, our e-girl simp 69 does not see um uh, the blue team yet doesn't know, even if they're holding tab, the information wouldn't be available. But we have the benefit of knowing right now, um, that the other team's gonna have a Rhine and a Bap, and then a Mercy Farah, and then so the team comp sort of makes sense, but it sort of doesn't. Like the Bap and Rhine and Hanzo are going to be that pure rush, And you can kind of segment a team like this. You don't always have to go full tilt one way. Like, oh, if we're playing Ryan, we got to have Delucio, Bap, uh, you know, Reaper, May, and we got to go all in. You can have two segmented things and have your team kind of function almost in like almost like two teams. Like you can have kind of a dive set up over here, and then have you know, um, maybe that's not the best example. You can have a kind of a rush setup over here, and then a Mercy Farah kind of doing their own thing over here, and still have it be effective. There is something to be said for just going all in on one composition and one playstyle. And I would argue, as Ryan, what are you really protecting here? Um, the Mercy Farah are going to be way off in the sky, and if Hanzo's gonna be probably on an off angle or something. Um, so, but the reason I bring this all up, not to drag this on, but it is important once you get the platinum to start thinking about what's my pick, what are my teammates picking, and how does my pick help. Um, I think Ana is gonna pretty much be a somewhat solid pick, almost regardless of composition. There are very few times that you're gonna be like, Anna's a bad pick. She's just that kind of, she's just that kind of a staple in the game where it's just like, okay, well, almost no matter what, you're gonna have some value. Um, it really with Ana, it almost depends more what the enemy is playing than what you're playing. Of when it's a time to swap. That's not that's not to say that Anna's always the best pick in any team composition that you have, but she's never really going to be a terrible one. But just right away you can say, okay, well we can really have a whole lot of sustain for the Orisa here. It's going to allow the Kariko to flank a little more, to do a little more on her own. We can nano the Orisa for the nano Terra Surge, which I think is a really underrated combo right now. Um, you're going to be able to nano overclock. You got some options here. So I just right off the bat, it's a good pick. And I just want to cover that kind of stuff.
Going somewhere?
And it'd probably be a good idea to at any point kind of turn around and just really check to make sure your tank is going the way you're going. Yeah. Too often you'll see one team, half the team go main and half the team go this way, and then a good team, it might not get punished down here, but if I were this Ryan and I saw like, oh wow, there's 3 players over here and 2 over here, I'd be like, yo, go 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 go. We go all in on those 3 people, and you just wipe them out, and then you just have a 5v2 after that. But that's more of a high level thing. Also, that really helps when you have a Lucio to do that. But yeah, that's a whole other thing. That's just a waste of a nade. Okay, I don't want to get too much bogged down. I think part of the issue that you'll see, with other VOD reviewers and coaching and stuff, in my opinion, is that they focus too heavily on micro mistakes. And what I mean by micro is like the tiny. And if you hear my dogs they're just gonna be barking. So I apologize for that. But too often people get bogged down in the micro. What I mean by that is like, oh well, in this specific interaction against this hero in this spot on the map, oh, you really should have played it like this, and you quick scoped, but you should have hard scoped, or you nanoed the Pharah for the barrage, but you should have known that, in this specific circumstance, XYZ thing was going on, so maybe you should have nanoed this. And you focus on these little micro decisions. When I really think it helps players a lot more when you focus on the macro. When you focus on like, what's the overarching thing that's going wrong that's more applicable to every situation. Like, and we're gonna get into that because I think I understand what's going on here. But I think that's a major mistake a lot of coaches do and VOD reviewers do that I see constantly. And I don't want to say it's a mistake, because it's not that they're like, when they're saying those things, a lot of the time it's not that they're wrong. But sometimes that information is not as useful as they think, because a lot of times these coaches, like myself or others, will be GM top 500 players or better, and they have all those fundamentals down. So for them, those are like afterthoughts, and they're just worried about building on the micro, because that's how you get better. Once you get to top 500 or so, you have to start really focusing on your micro decisions and saying, well, in this instance, I got to do this, and they got this going on, this, and this happened, and this is the situation, and now I got to do this, and so you really got to focus on micro, small decisions in that way, because your positioning, your mechanics, your ult usage, your ult economy, team composition knowledge, that's all general macro stuff that you already have down. This player does not. And I'm just going to say that right off the bat. This player has, you'll notice they have good mechanics, so that's good. But yeah, so, but I don't want to harp on micro decisions too much, but in the way the game is currently set up right now, especially for supports, you really need to get value out of your cooldowns. But not only that, it's not just about getting value. It's, can I throw this nade and survive long enough after I've thrown the nade to not need it? Because this is how you stay alive on Ana. Outside of pure positioning, actually, I would say is more important. But your cooldowns are going to be how you stay alive. And when you don't have them, that's the go button for someone else to be like, oh, that is a vulnerable target now, I'm going to go kill that Ana. So you got to really make sure, if you're throwing this nade, that it's for a good reason, and it's like a thought out reason. It's not it has to have an intent. It has to have intent, and I don't know what the intent of this nade is. Just throw it in the general area of their back line and hope that you anti them, and then they have to take cover for 3 seconds. It's just not going to be a fight winning anything. Now, yeah, I guess your tank did go the other way. So yeah, everything I said before ended up happening. I kind of forgot that. I've looked at this VOD once or twice already. I didn't notice that specific part, but yeah. Yeah. So you got to be careful about that. Okay, now we're gonna start to see where the problem starts arising. Yeah. I'm just gonna let it play for a second, and then I'll talk about it. Okay, so let's go back. What goes wrong here? Because right now this fight's stable. This is a 50-50 fight at this point. Now, I don't know if it's 50-50 quite that much, because this team has so much better space right now, the blue team. But it's still 5v5. I would say everybody more or less has most of their resources. You've used your nade, but I'm sure they've used a few things too. And that will happen in Plat, where people just spam their cooldowns and for no real reason. But yeah, I mean, your Orisa's gonna be down there fortify. That's a big deal. But anyway, it's still a 5v5. So what goes wrong here?
Keep fighting.
Okay, we get a little antsy here, and I think there's nothing wrong with trying to make a play and trying to alter the outcome of the fight on your own and say, you know what, I'm gonna be the one that makes a play to open this. But there's a cost to that. It's not free. During this time, okay, during this time, your front line their entire team is focusing your Orisa right now. They're all of them. You look at where they're all looking. So during this time, yes, a tank taking the attention of the team, that you can view that like a taunt and say, oh yeah, this is my opportunity, they're not looking at me. But you're also the Ana, and this Orisa is getting pressured and you're not helping. Do you always need to have your Ana rifle up to tank's ass? No, you do not. You do not. Okay? But what is the value here in just spamming this Rhine instead of healing your Orisa? Is that better? Is this better than this? I would argue no, because that's just going to get healed up, whereas this is not getting healed as much because the Rhine has 2 healers on him. Well, the Mercy is healing the Pharah, to be fair, but you get my point. You get my point. It's just going to get healed up. You'd be far better off at this point healing your Orisa than doing this. Now you're going for squishies. That's a little better. It's a little better. But I have a feeling you've watched one too many YouTube videos that said, oh, you got to take the game into your hands as a support. You can't just heal the tank and have it be oh well, the tank, just heal the tank and have it be, oh well, we're gonna win through attrition, and I'm just gonna do my job as the healer and not make any plays. And people say, no, like, if you want to climb, you gotta make plays. And yes, that's true. It is true. But I think there's a big misunderstanding there, and I think that's what happens with players like yourself. Is you get bogged down with that idea of, okay, well, I watched 50 videos and they all told me I need to go make more plays, and you're constantly trying to flank and make plays, just always separating yourself, isolating yourself, and doing the things that you should be doing in very specific situations, but you're doing it all the time. So is this gonna work? I don't know if my Epic Pen is gonna cover on top of my screen here. Hang on. Okay. All right. Let's do blue. Okay. So I want to go over a flowchart of priorities. Okay. We'll call this the priority list. It's a flowchart though, so it is in order. All right. You have. Oh God, my handwriting's gonna be really bad with this, but live. This is priority 1. Always, 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 always. Okay. If you cannot make a play without surviving, it's not worth making. And not all the time. That's not always true, but most of the time. Unless you're confident, I can like trade 3 for 1 right now. Because as soon as you die, you lose your agency over the fight completely, and your team loses their Ana. That's a big deal. And yeah, I mean, it goes without saying, right? But so let's say you trade 1 for 1. Now you have no agency over the fight at all. So whatever the outcome, let's say every single fight in an entire game you just traded, right? I mean, it's gonna be 50-50, right? I mean, you're gonna rank up, rank down. You're just gonna trade 50-50 each time. You're not gonna go anywhere. So that's obviously not worth it. Hey, my dog. Um, um, and so it just goes without saying that if you can't make a play without surviving, it's not worth making. This is priority number one. Even if you have to choose between living and healing a teammate, which is priority number two, is your teammates. Disregard my terrible handwriting with this, but priority number two is going to be your teammates. Okay, so think of it this way, right? If you have an opportunity to heal your team, but like let's say you're retreating and you're like, okay, well, we're kind of giving some space because we're down one and we're kind of trying to bend a little just to get back to a stabilized position, right? And it's like, okay, well, I got to heal this guy. He's around the corner, but I'd have to expose myself and probably die to do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. There are times when yes, you need to put yourself in a better position to heal your tanks. You gotta, as a support, you gotta find a way, because it's tanks, especially in this rank, are not gonna play perfect. Obviously, they're gonna play weird. They're gonna play in weird spots, and you're gonna have to adjust your positioning in order to find a way to adapt to that. But you're gonna have to do it. Find a way to do it in a way where you can just make sure you live. If you can't do it in a way where you're confident that you're gonna live in that spot, don't. Okay, so and that brings me to 3 is gonna be enemies. Oh god, the E's are difficult for some reason. Enemies. So if you have to choose between killing an enemy, but you're like, let's say, like I said before, right? You're gonna trade 1 for 1. You can kill an enemy, but you might die to do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. That's why you don't just dash into a Zen against an entire team on Genji. Let's say you don't just dash in and then try to 1 for 1 trade them. Because if you die and the Zen dies, well, you can argue, oh, I took out a support that's a little higher value, but in theory, in a 5v5 game like this, it should be, in theory, it should be, it almost doesn't matter if it's a 4v4. Yes, some targets are worth more than others, but in general, if you die, you lose your agency over the fight. It almost doesn't matter if you killed that higher value target, because are you really going to trust your teammates that much to win the 4v4? I wouldn't. And if you have to choose between killing it, this is where it gets important here for you. If you have to choose between, oh, I can kill this enemy, but my teammate might die if I do it, heal the teammate. Heal the teammate. It's better to keep the teammate alive, and stabilize. If you can kill an enemy and you're confident that your team won't die while you do it, that's a good time to, okay, I can focus in killing the enemy. And now this is through the lens of, what I mean by this is just the enemies is this is through the lens of, let's say you were standing here and your tank was here and your team was here and you're just staying in the back line and you have an opportunity to barely shift your sight up a little bit to kill a Pharah and then flick it back down to heal. If you have that opportunity to kill an enemy and you're confident that your Orisa is not going to die, good. That's a good opportunity to do it. The fourth one is playmaking. Okay, I'm just gonna write play because it's the fucking writing this out is a pain. But playmaking is what you were trying to. It's like you're almost trying to skip down to this one. It's like you're trying to skip 1, 2, and 3 and just go to 4 all the time. And you're like, oh, well, I heard that if I make plays, I'll win. So I'm just going to keep doing that. And it's like, now you're just disregarding the flowchart. Now you're disregarding the priorities. Hey. So, what ends up happening is, well, you might try to set up a play for your team. Hang on one sec. So what ends up happening is you're just gonna skip all that and you're just gonna say, well, I'm gonna go flank and play on my own, and I'm gonna land that nade, and then I'm gonna nade 4 people. I'm gonna be like, hell yeah, I naded 4 people, and then your tank died though, and now your DPS aren't confident enough to push up without them, and now none of the enemies died, and now you're gonna die because now you put yourself in such an isolated position to land that nade, and they stabilize. Now they're gonna come after you, and so you're skipping a bunch of steps. You're skipping a bunch of steps, and you're doing it constantly. Um, and I know I've barely moved in the gameplay. I promise we will move this along, but I feel like this is the groundwork of what you need to view the game through this lens now. Through this lens now of when we're skipping steps, okay? I'm gonna get rid of that. I'll full screen this again. And because I want you to think about that now as we're watching this. This would be a good time to retreat, by the way. You should have died here. You should have died here. When I was watching this the first time, I was like, you die here, right? They didn't push you for some reason. God knows why. They have the 5v4 here. They already have the point, so they could have just rushed you guys, and there would have been very little you could have done about it because your tank is dead. So, let me. So at this point, right? You are no longer the backline. You need to be the backline, as Ana. You need to be the firm backline. You're not the middle guy. You're not the front guy. You're not the flank guy. You're the backline guy. And so for you to be kind of here, you're in front of your whole team. You're actually on the front line. You are the front line right now. And I know this is like the obvious forehead like coaching moment, but there's a reason every single coach would anybody who's worth their salt reviewing a VOD would be like, hey, maybe you're a little too far forward right now, and hey, you need to be on the back line. Well, guess what? This is the problem. They should have rushed you right here. You should be dead. I would have rushed you a long time ago. Now the Ryan's eventually doing it, but he kind of chickened out too. You should die here. That far should come and kill you. He should have just YOLO'd after you. Would have been such a high value play. Now your team's over here again. And well, guess what? You're on the flank again. Now it's even more of an off angle. I would say this is as far as you can push an off angle without it being a flank. Maybe I think if you rounded this corner, it would now be a flank. But you're kind of parallel with your team right now. But this isn't what you want, right? Because you are so easily killable right now. You are so isolated. At any point, this Pharah could just concussion blast, come over here, and just ruin you. Because you are so vulnerable. You gotta understand the cost of playing like this to try to do this playmaking type of style. I get your team kind of just went the other way, and you get stuck out here. But you should have recognized they were rotating and rotated with them. But even then, you do this enough times throughout the game that I feel like it's worth mentioning now, because it's just going to keep happening. Where this unexpected angle, only after you shoot a shot or two, the enemy's gonna they're not complete idiots here. They're gonna be like, oh hey, there's an Ana over there, and she seems to be by herself. What are we gonna do about that? Oh yeah, it's an Ana. I just go kill her. So I get you're trying to get a juicy nade or a nice sleep to open things up, but you're already down one, and I would say that's because you're not behind your team healing them. So you just skipped step one. You put yourself in a spot where you're very vulnerable, and I would argue your chances of survival aren't great here. You skip step two, teammates, skipped it. Step three, enemies, yeah, I mean, like I said, that's really for more when you're like having to choose between healing your team and whatever, but like you just went straight to 4.
Just a scratch, you'll be fine.
I mean, look at that. Now you recognized it, but this rotation is going to take so long. This rotation takes so long that you lost another player. So, you got to think about the cost of rotating. And when you do this, when you do these playmaking things, you end up usually having to make weird rotations like this that take time, right? And that time is a resource, and during that time, you know, the enemy's not like, oh, well, Ana's rotating. Let me stop shooting for a second. Give her a fair chance to get back to where she wants to go. So during all that time, the fight's still happening, and you're just not contributing anything to the fight. I would argue at this point, the situation's so dire, you might just have to cross from here and hope you don't die. I'd argue you don't have time to make this rotation. You either have to stay where you are or make the risky rotation. Yeah, so.
Taking care of you.
Or did she die before that? Wait, I might have been wrong.
Just a scratch. You'll be fine.
She died right there. Okay, never mind. Well, but still, it still applies. It's just that the punishment didn't happen at that time that I said, but it still applies.
Taking care of you. I'm with you.
Even then, right? Did you see that? Did you see that?
I'm with you.
Well, look at this. All right, priority 1, live. It's good. You're past that step. You're in a spot where you don't really have any threat, so you're good to just heal. Good as priority 2. Oh, critical. Wow, that should be maximum priority right now. You would say, wouldn't you? So cross that back again.
Take care of you.
Heal.
I'm with you.
Just that one little shot on the Rhine was so kind of unnecessary. I get your Kiriko kind of line of sighted you there for a second, but I would have waited for the first possible frame. You could have gotten a sooner shot on the Kiriko there, because it, yeah. So whoops. All right. So anyway, well, you know, let's move on because I think we get the picture there. Another thing I want to talk about is level of threat and when to scope versus unscope versus quick scope. I just want to cover this real quick. It didn't really seem to me that you have this problem. You generally want to be hard scoping on Ana anytime you can. It's just going to make you more accurate. You're just going to get better shots. You're going to get better value because you're going to be landing shots more often. The trade-off of that is less of a field of view, slower movement, and you get the bullet trails. But obviously it's hit scan. So and you lose fire rate a little bit. It's actually a faster fire rate on a projectile, I'm pretty sure. But especially at times where you need to emphasize being accurate, you need to land a shot, you need to be scoping. Now you can when you have to make a quick, you need to, you know, have quick movement, but you also need to land a shot and you're under threat, then you can quick scope. And then when you're under extreme threat, like a Genji's on you and stuff like that, or a Tracer's on you, a lot of times you just need to fire just the projectiles, the hip fire, or you know, sometimes if you're on a flank and you don't want to, for some reason you don't want to give away your bullet trail, there are times where you would do that. But so I just want to talk about quick, when you're not under threat, it's good to just always hard scope. So I just wanted to mention that. You don't have a problem with that, but just for anyone else watching, I just wanted to mention that briefly.
Take care of you. I'm with you. Keep an aim.
So that nade, I understand you were reloading, so you were like, I gotta heal him now. So that one's... A lot of people might say, oh, well, you could have just healed him, but you were reloading. I get you didn't want him to die. You know, he was under threat. That's a fine nade. That's fine. Okay, alright. This is a big problem. This is it. This is like your problem in a nutshell. This is your problem in a 5 to 10 second clip. Okay? Where am I, man? Alright, so your tank F's up here pretty bad. Alright. Now we're the back line. We're on priority 2 right now. Healing team. It's a 5v5 again, so we have a stable fight now. We have like an even fight. We're healing tank. Tank line of sight's you, alright? Tank line of sight's you. I have no problem with the movement to get over here so you can get an angle on your tank because it's an oh shit moment. Because he's gonna die. And I would probably just nano him here. Like, the moment I can see him. Because if you rotate the other way, which I would argue is a safer way to go. And now I know I'm kind of directly contradicting what I said before about step 1. But I think you can get away with just peeking this real quick, walking up here, nanoing him, and then rotating around here. The nano is going to buy him enough time that he shouldn't die, and you should have enough time to make the rotation. But instead, you're like, oh, let me go over here so I can get an angle to heal my teammate. Oh, look, enemies. I'm going to skip to step 3 here. And arguably even step 4, because you're on a kind of an off angle now. Oh, look.
You're powered up. Get in there.
You did shift your priority a bit. Let me see if as far as dying is your fault here.
You're powered up. Get in there.
Or, I mean, them Creed. No, not really. Well, I mean, Cassidy, of course. It kind of doesn't matter the outcome of what happened there. It only really matters. It only really... Just because I say something is a mistake, and, like, if I say something is a mistake, just because, you didn't get punished for it necessarily, I mean, you did lose the fight. Just because, you know, that Cassidy dying wasn't necessarily your fault, doesn't necessarily mean that your play was okay. That, you know, even if it wasn't directly because of you that you lost the fight, doesn't mean this wasn't a mistake. Doesn't mean the other play wouldn't have been better. So... I mean, even then, you know, maybe if you had healed this guy, maybe if you'd been in position to heal this guy, he would have survived just a half a second longer against the Pharah, and things could have been different. So it you know, or if you were over there, you would have had an angle to sleep the Pharah, or something. Just something else could have happened. And these little things that are the difference between winning and losing. And it's just, you're constantly just more focused on doing things to the enemy than doing things for your team. And I get the sentiment, right? I get you want to have agency over your game, but helping your teammates is agency over your game. Okay, I know that gets lost in translation when you watch YouTube videos and they're like, this is how you climb and top 10 tips to get to Grandmaster, you know, overnight and all that shit. But I think what gets lost in the sauce there is there are unique opportunities during a game to make plays like that, a handful of them, where you can get away with it and then go back to the top of the flowchart and rotate back and you'll be fine, and now you just made a play. All right? Opportunities. But you're trying to force opportunities that aren't there. And so, yeah, it ends up causing a lot of issues. The ult usage I was okay with there. That's why I didn't talk about it much. I was fine with just placing on the reset to give her extra survivability, because that was still a winnable fight. It was a 4v4. It wasn't directly optimal. You could have waited for a combo. But I get that there was a ton of pressure in that area over there, and just nanoing the Orisa to give her more survivability was fine. I might have even done the same. So.
Keep fighting.
Okay. That would be a good opportunity to quick scope right there. You could just straight up hard scope this. You're not even... Like, you could argue that the Pharah could come over the top and damage you, so I see why you wanted to strafe. But you're making your own shots harder right now because you're strafing a lot for, like, no reason. See how, like, you're fighting your own movement to aim right now? And not only that, then you're using the projectile to make it even harder. You could just stand still over here and literally just... Okay, alright. Let me say something here that's going to be controversial as hell. You don't need to move all the time in this game. Throw that out the window. Forget it. Okay? That's the worst advice people give, is you need to move constantly. You don't. If you're not under threat, you are just making your shots harder. Am I saying that you should just jump into the middle of the enemy team and stand still for maximum aim? No. No, you're gonna die if you stand still like that and they're all staring at you. But when you have moments in a game where you're confident that you're not getting pressured, no one is looking at you, no one is damaging you, no one is threatening you, you're confident that you're not going to die if you stand still, just make your shots easier. There's no reason. You could just stand right here and be reasonably sure that the FAR is not going to come directly all the way above you guys and just get murked by your team. No, that would be suicide. So there's nothing stopping you from just standing here and just making your shots easy. Instead, you're just... That would be a good opportunity to quick scope there, or even hard scope. I'd also argue that you really don't want to be using the projectile for the same reason I mentioned before. This would be a good opportunity to just... You can actually just hip fire this because Arista's not moving during this, so they're easy shots, and you get a faster fire rate. So it's going to be more healing per second. See, those are micro. That's what I'm talking about. That right there, that specific instance of like, oh, when Arisa's doing this, you could be, that's a micro, I don't know, coaching. So, we're all about the macro here. But I'm not gonna not point it out. I'm just not gonna focus too hard on it. Okay, all right. What the hell is this? I'm not trying to roast you here. But what is the purpose of this nade? I see that you saw that Mercy got shot one time, but look at her health bar, man. You're panicking. Alright? Stop panicking. Your cooldowns need to have intent. The nade before to heal your Kree, or your Cassidy, was fine because you had to reload. That one had intent. Oh, I can't heal him right now. He might die. He might not survive long enough. He's critical. I need to nade him. Because I don't have time to reload right now. That was fine. In hindsight, he would have been fine without it, but, you know, at the time, it was fine. Because the moment you do this, you give the other team a 10-second window where they're not worried about getting antied, they're not worried about you just amping heals into the Orisa and making her basically indestructible. They're not worried about you being more survivable. You're an easier target now, so you're just giving the team a 10-second window for free. Wouldn't it have been nice to have a nade right there? Wouldn't that have been nice? Wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you say having a nade right here would have been pretty good? I don't know. I think it would have been. You're moving too much. You're fighting. You're moving too much. You're moving too much. You're moving too much. Look at how hard you're making your shots. Just watch this. Just watch it. Watch the sequence. Watch how hard you're making your shots. You're not under threat. 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 I get that's a cleanup situation, but this is why we talk about the macro, right? Because that applies to so many situations in your gameplay. Yes, right there it's a 5v1, it's just or a 4v1, it's just a Rhine, and you know, whatever, who cares if you're landing shots or not, your team is probably gonna be fine. Well, yeah, but later on that might matter. So when you're not under threat, just stop making your shots so hard.
I've got you.
All right. This position, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. What is to stop? Okay, I'm not a Valorant player, but I think it's a core concept in Valorant where you know, if someone else is covering an angle, you can be reasonably safe. Like if you have a teammate staring down this other lane over here, if you have a teammate, come on. It'd be easier to do this in the replay viewer, but I couldn't because the patch reset, so I had to record it. If you had a teammate covering this angle, this alley here, and you could be very sure that someone wasn't going to come up in here and just destroy you, that'd be a different thing, right? Like in Valorant, like, you know, hey, you know, you're watching that angle, so I don't need to stare there. You'll let me know if something happens over there. You know, or, you know, I'll hear gunshots at the very least or something. Or it'll show up in Valorant, it shows up on a map, right? I've played very little Valorant, but I'm pretty sure it does. But it's the same concept applies here, right? So yes, you're like, if you look at it this way, you're kind of a backline, but this is so much less safe than playing on the high ground back here, this angle back here, even this over here would be safer. I wouldn't love it. The low ground back on the other spawn there, to your immediate right. There are so many other spots you can play here. I know you're worried about your team line of sighting you because they want to fight right here, it looks like. But then if that's the case, play the drum. Play something else that's going to be less susceptible to getting flanked right here. But you're trying to force these off-angle flanks. Your tank kind of bailed you out of this shitty spot by covering that flank. I'm fine. By the way, I'm not fine with the nade, but I'm fine with the poking the squishies here. You are a little bit exposed there. The Hanzo could have, in theory, killed you there, but I'm fine with the priority shift of, oh, I'm gonna, you know, poke these squishies because my tank's not gonna die. That's fine. The nade is the same, is as bad as the first nade for the same reasons. The very first nade of the game, it's the same as that nade. It's basically the same. I get you were trying to kind of get a burst combo going on, but now you don't have a nade. And, oh boy, a nade would be pretty good right here, wouldn't it? And, yeah, so, look, okay. So, you're playing these off angles, you're trying to force that fourth priority, right, to playmaking. You're trying to get an angle so you can get nades, and you're so focused on being on these off angles, getting nades, that you've done two things to yourself. You've isolated yourself and made yourself an easy target, and you're so tunnel visioned on landing this nade that you just toss it. And nah, you got lucky. The Ryan just drops his shield for like no reason, and you get super lucky here and actually managed to finish a target off with it. That's just not going to happen most of the time. You kind of just threw it directly at a Ryan who was shielding, and then he dropped it. And then, yeah, you couldn't nade yourself to help with the Pharah, and you made yourself an easy target. Look, you're dead. Oh, look, I wonder what's going to happen in this fight, huh? I wonder how this fight will go. How will it go?
This is not the end.
Our enemy did not heed their warning.
Wow, you're getting carried. Wow, nice shot.
I am strong and brave.
Priority 2, priority 2, priority 2. That's fine. Shoot the lamp. Shoot the back. There's nothing else to do. That was good. That was a good sequence. That was the best sequence you've had all game. Alright. So you come back to the fight after your team just thunder carried you. And a nice mechanical quickscope on the Hanzo. Or it's not really a quickscope, but you know. Get the nade around the corner because you can't. He's not giving you line of sight. That's fine. I'd argue you could. No, actually, I wouldn't rotate to the left to get a better angle. It's a short rotation. It wouldn't take you that long, but this is a type of situation where, you could argue one way or the other. They're not giving you a line of sight, so you'd argue, well, they're not giving you a line of sight anyway, so that short rotation's worth it. But you could also say, okay, well, I want to be there the moment they peek out, because I can't afford to give them. I can't afford to miss one here. But yeah, the priorities were perfect the whole way. You only shot an enemy when it was the only thing you could do. Oh, that's the other thing with the priority short. If you can't do two, that you just don't have an opportunity and there's an enemy in your face. Yeah, shoot the enemy. Yeah, I mean that's obvious, right? It's obvious. Rico is the priority. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What the hell was that? Now you had to waste a nade. I guess you just missed the shot, but I get you were kind of... Are you like trying to farm accuracy here or something? It's like, just take the shot. You could have shot like... so much earlier. Right there. You had it. You had the crosshair on him. What is that? Why didn't you shoot? Okay, Could have gotten away without the sleep dart, but I understand it. That's fine. I don't care about that one. That one, I probably would have done the same thing. I understand the nade here. They line of sighted you. You're like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to heal him in time if he takes any more damage. You could have probably played it a little closer to the vest here and understood that, you know, he probably wasn't gonna get hit again. But I think this guy was reloading, so. But yeah, that's hindsight. You get the benefit of when you watch it. It's easy for a coach to be like, oh, you should have done this and you should have done this and these micro things. But I'm pausing the VOD every 3 seconds, so I know there's gonna be a long video. I get that. I get that it's a very niche thing to have. Yeah, oh my god. I'm gonna go watch this sequence back again because I was kind of talking that whole time. But I get that it's very easy to be like, oh, you should have done this, huh? It's like, yeah, well, in the moment, you don't have that much time to think. But here you see the priorities get fucked up again, right? Okay. We've nanoed the Arisa, so we're like, oh, we have time to just miss 30 shots on the Mercy. Oh, look, the Arisa's dead because I just ignored him and he's standing in front of a window. You could have actually healed him through that. I would argue that because he's nanoed, you probably could have healed him through this because it's just a BAP shooting through it. You definitely could have healed him through it because it was a BAP shooting through it and a Ryan swinging on him. You would have been fine. But he at least could have lived a lot longer. And then I don't know why you didn't try to move out of the way harder here. I don't know if you thought you could just kill him. I don't know if you're waiting to you're spamming your shift button and you're like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. I bet you anything that's what was going on here. Like you're just spamming your shift. Yeah, you are. I could tell. Yeah. I'm not gonna harp too much on that one death or whatever, but it's the priorities, right? It's the I now the Arisa. I get you're like, okay, well, teammate priority two is good because he's nanoed and he's full HP. He should be okay for a couple seconds. I have time to shoot the enemies. So this is priority 3 you're on now, right? I wouldn't say you're 4. I wouldn't say you're like on a weird flank trying to make a play. You're just shooting an enemy. But the moment this window comes out, the priority has to shift. My toggle almost just hit the restart button. One second. Come on, go. Okay, so yeah, the moment this window comes out, your priority has to shift back to 3, back to 2. So, just because you've gone down in the flowchart doesn't mean at any point you need to go back up. You don't need to go back up. Like if at any point, if let's say you're on 3 and you're shooting, and let's say this window's not here and you're on 3, and someone dives you, priority now is 1 again. You know, it's live. It's do whatever you have to do to live. You're not worried about healing teammates. You're not worried about shooting a BAP in the back line. You're not worried about making a play. You're worried about living, right? So, yeah, priority has to shift. Way too slow on the priority shift. Yeah, you thought you could sleep him, so you didn't like hard move out of the way. It's fine. I don't want to harp on that one. That's just you thought your sleep was back already, but it wasn't.
Oh, Winston, that was a long time.
We don't care about micro, right? We care about it, but not that much. Okay, kind of went a little too far here. All right. Hey, see, even then, like, did you see that? Did you see that? Okay, like, look, you're with your team. I'd argue you could be a little further back. You don't need to be so much up your wrist's ass. But normally you don't have that problem. Normally you're the type of player that kind of sits far back, so I'm not worried about that. But did you see you were like, I get you were kind of checking for the flank here, but you also moved towards it. Why? Were you considering like, oh, I'm gonna go get an angle and get a nade? I'm thinking that's what you did, and then you're like, never mind, I'm not gonna do that. Okay, you're doing nothing, you're doing nothing, you're doing nothing, you're flanking, you're forcing 4. It's a good nade, but... yeah. kind of skipped a bunch of steps there to get to 4. You had a good outcome. You landed a good nade. That's great. You skipped a bunch of steps. Yeah, I don't want to coach good plays out of you, but you're trying to force these opportunities where I would say, oh, my Orisa's been out of my line of sight for way too long. I would have immediately been like, I need to get around this corner and heal this guy because I can survive. I know there's no threat over here, and I know I can survive if I go around this corner. And I can hug this corner right here, and if anyone pressures me, I can just hug the wall back and go out of their line of sight. But this guy's been out of my line of sight for so long that it's just like, oh, I need to... Yeah, this movement right here. I don't know if you're just trying to get the mini. Yeah, okay. But then you kept going this way. Like, if you go around this way to try to heal your reset, it's death, right? You understand why? 'Cause look at this. Look at the threat down this range, right? The other way is the better way. And you're like, oh, look, enemies. I'm just gonna force this play. Whoop. Happened again. So, yeah. Anyway, you get the picture. Your reason needs help.
Keep fighting.
You should be pinging that. You need to ping that. Anytime there's an enemy isolated like that, way in the back line, that's a threat to your team, especially like a Ryan behind or something like that. You gotta ping it. What the fuck are you doing? What in the fuck? Okay, this is another one of those, you watch too many videos that are like, oh, you gotta be high ground. High ground is important. High ground, that you need it. Yes, it is good that you are on the high ground right now. This is a good position to be in right now. But it's like you're so attached to this spot, you don't want to leave it, even though it has become a bad spot because you're getting no value, right? Just because you're in a spot that you can survive in doesn't necessarily make it a good spot. You could stand in spawn and never die, right? I mean, eventually you get kicked, right? But doesn't make it a good spot. I can stand just outside the spawn and shoot around and whatever. I'm not gonna die there, right? Doesn't make it a good spot. I'm not getting value. I'm not doing anything. You have to have value recognition and say at any given point, be like, this spot is not allowing me to get value. I need to get to a spot that allows me to get value better. Right now, I would say it'd probably be like around where your Moira is right now. You don't want to be right here that you're too easily just turned on. So I would think that you could actually make this rotation right now and probably have it be okay, because you could all the while shoot at the Orisa as you're making the rotation, because this is all open space. You kind of wanted to do that, and then he kind of went the other way. All right. I'm gonna give you a pass on that because I see what happened. I think you were trying to do what I wanted you to do. It just looked a little jank when I watched it the first time. Kind of just wasting ammo. Now you're gonna have to reload at a time when you really need the ammo. Yep, there you go. Okay. Do we see the problem here? Can we identify that this is an issue? You're gonna land a big nade here, right? That's what you're like. You're gonna probably throw it in 0.1 seconds as soon as I hit play. I guarantee it. I know I've watched it before, but it's not like I remember exact timings of things. I watched it like one time. You're skipping straight to 4 again. And not only that, you are super duper isolated. The moment this team figures out, oh, hey, how am I taking damage? Oh, it's coming from this way. Not to mention this Ryan, because you shot at him first, should really just be like, oh, there's something over here. I need to shield it. Diana's over there. Imagine he blocks your nade right now. Oh my god. It would be catastrophe. Not only that, your team is dying, so you've skipped step 2. You've skipped step 1. You're gonna die here. You skip step 2, and I would say step 3 is irrelevant when you're trying to skip straight to step 4 because yes, you're shooting enemies, but you're really trying to play make. Look, 0.1 seconds in, right? What did I say? Oh look, they're just gonna. If their Ryan had any brains at all, even the slightest amount, he would have just immediately. I know his shield's gonna break, but he would have just immediately put up his shield right now because even if it breaks, he needs the every last hit point here to help his team and to block any major cooldowns coming in. He could have blocked his sleep. He could block a little bit of extra damage. Remember how I said you were gonna die here? You see how easy that was for the Ryan to be like, oh, I'm half HP. Oh, I'm antied. Oh, you know, I have no shield. Doesn't matter. I'm just going to charge on this guy and kill him, and there's nothing he can do about it. Because not only are you here, but you have used your only 2 cooldowns to help you survive. You're just a useless sack of 200 HP at that point, with no mobility. You're just there. You just exist. That's it.
We're outnumbered. Watch yourself.
So, it goes without saying you're going to lose this fight.
You'll have to try harder than that.
This is going to be an extremely long video, guys. It's probably going to be like closer to like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I get that that's not palatable for most people, but I'm trying to help this person to my maximum ability. I mean, there may even come a point where I just say, okay, you see the picture here. I would like to see this ultimate. You need to get yourself in a position to be able to help this guy. I know you should just nade yourself here. You should just nade yourself. Yeah. You're so focused on trying to get antis that you just. Wait, is your healer alive behind you? I wouldn't know because you never turn around. I would have naded myself right there, actually. I get you're trying to just use the support passive, but just so the reason I say this is because right here when you go down to 44 HP, not only could anything kill you, but I'm not even concerned about that because they don't have line of sight anyway, and the junk's not going to be able to get that angle. It's more about you can't peek right now because if you take any damage, it's going to stop you. Not only might you die if you take any damage, but it's going to stop your passive. Just nading yourself allows you to take a more aggressive angle and say, okay, I'm not at significant risk of dying outside of a Hanzo headshot, which is a difficult shot anyway. So I should be able to peek and help my Arisa, right? Like, which is why I would have said like here, like if not before I would have done it, I probably would have done it as soon as I got hit by the nade, just to make sure I live. Now you kind of can't help your Arisa right now because you're so low, right? Because you don't want to use your nade on yourself. So you're like, and that's another thing comes from all these videos, right? It's like, oh, don't use your nade on yourself. You know, you're wasting it if you're using it on yourself. You need to get value. You need to get antis. Well, now your Arisa's dead because you didn't use it. There's a cost to these things, right? You can't just say a blanket statement of you need to get maximum value out of it. Sure, great when you can, but the cost of not using it and saving for those situations is that there are going to be times where people are going to die because you didn't use it. And I'm not even saying use it. You should have used it on Arisa. You should have used it on yourself here so that you could have peeked and helped him. But yeah, so you're so overeager to play make, and then you know your Arisa probably hates you. Your Arisa probably hates you, man. He's probably like saying F and support in the chat and support diff and this and that. Report Arana and all that. Just nano him. Just nano him. Just nano him. Just nano him. Nano him.
Get in there.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna lose my shit. The moment he even I probably would have nanoed him here, to be honest. We need to get in. We need to force our way in. They're easily pressurable because their Mercy is first of all, they're Hanzo. No, wait. Okay, they traded. Okay, it's a 4v4. Okay, it's a 4v5. Okay, but the moment the moment your Moira commits to the fight here, I probably ulted here. Okay, let me amend my statement because I didn't realize the kill feed. But I would have known that in a game. But the moment your Moira commits here, I probably just been like, okay, we're all in on this. Let's go. And I would have nanoed the Orisa. And then, especially when he ults, during the ultimate, during the Orisa ult, I would have definitely nanoed him here. Then you're like, should I nano him? Should I nano him? Should I nano him? Should I nano him? Oh, I'm gonna nano him now. After he already killed everyone. And now it's just a wasted ultimate. Basically, there were two decisions there. You ult or you don't. And you chose the worst. You chose the third door. Option number 3. Ult after the fight's over. And get no value. So. You gotta be quicker. Quicker. The moment you see an opportunity to combo it, to make a big play, you should have just jumped straight to 4 there. That was 4. It was right there. 4 was right there, and you chose to ignore it. So, hey, look. The 4 nade. Okay, you're like so tethered to this spot right here. You fucking love this spot for some reason. You don't want to move it. And then when your Orisa inevitably comes up here and tries to hold them in this door later, you're going to be line of sight and have to make the same weird decision of, do I poke this way or do I go on the flank angle and get the big nade? And then you're going to do that and die. But now you're just going to waste your cooldowns. Look at that, you're wasting them both. The Ryan's just going to shield it off. Oh look, you're isolated because you went you're on the flank. You're on the kind of... I get you're just trying to play high ground. You could have played this high ground over here, or you could have played back here. You could have played up over here by this mini. That's probably where I would have played here. But now you're isolated, and they completely boxed you out. The team has to come all the way back and try to peel for you. Nade yourself. Jesus Christ, you really waited to the last second there. It's like you're so against using your nade on yourself that you will literally let yourself go to 1 HP before you do it. Now you're only in the spot that I wanted you to be because they pressured you into the spot. Okay, that was one of those... is he... Okay, wait. Okay, he was burning and you didn't recognize in time that it ended. And he was super low. But a lot of times you'll see this. You'll see players miss 1 or 2 shots with their rifle on Ana, and then they panic and they go, I gotta heal him, and they nade. Because they're like, because they're not confident in their shots. You gotta just... be confident the next one's going to land, because that next shot is going to instantly... The nade's going to heal him 60 HP, that next shot's going to heal him 75. So you need to just land the next shot. And it's going to be faster, too. You just need to have confidence. He also was about to line of sight you, so that's a couple times now I've seen you do that. That's fine. That's fine. I'm not criticizing that. That is a thing that you have to do sometimes. You could have shot him there. That's a micro decision, though. Oh, look. You isolated yourself, and now the Ryan's coming after you. Do you notice a pattern here? It's like the Ryan is doing this because it's identified a weakness in your gameplay. This Ryan has dynamically during this game been like, oh, that Ana really likes to isolate himself. And I can just push him out for free and bully him for free because he's so far away his team can't even peel for him. By the way, this fight's dead. What are you doing? Why are you creeping forward? You're gonna get shattered, by the way.
You will be renewed. I needed that. Taking care of you.
You should have pinged that Ryan a long time ago to let your team know, and you should have pinged him just now that he's gonna try to flank shatter. By the way, footsteps. You hear that? That Ryan's a dumbass for putting down his shield. You just wasted your cooldown and he just gave you free value. You should have blocked that. His shield was even already up. Yeah, okay. What the hell are you doing? I get you're trying to get away from the Ryan, but if you're trying to get a Ryan, don't go this way. Just go maximum far away and get this angle so you can heal your team. And you can heal them on the way. But instead you're like taking a weird angle, not healing anyone, not helping anyone. The Ryan's still alive. Okay. Priority 2. Priority 2. Your mercy. Or your not mercy. That wasn't your mercy. That was Sorry, you're on the red team. It's throwing me off. But someone was critical. Like, someone was critical and you ignored it and tried to shoot enemies. Yeah, you're Winston. Why are you backing off here? This is the last fight. What are you doing? Are you just trying to preserve KD here? Come on, man. Don't do that. If you're not in it to win it, don't play.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Round 3. Capture the objective.
Now or never.
Yes, this is the one that pissed me off the most when I saw it. This is the one thing that tilted me the hardest. I watched this and I almost screamed. Okay. Alright. Let's just watch this play out. I mean, you guys have already kind of seen a spoiler here. Of why I'm about to be so pissed off. Oh, look, your team's going that way. Your team's going the other way. Oh, look, they're all over there. You looked at them. You looked right at them. You looked right fucking at them. Where are you going? Your team is dying because of you. You literally threw this fight. I'm gonna lose it. You're trying to skip to 4 again.
The objective is now active.
Look, you made a really cool, nice play, and you still lost.
Would be wonderful. I have you. Keep fighting.
I don't know why they backed off so much. They have a 4v2. I guess they're trying to... Yeah. They're gonna eventually win this, right? Oh my god, no way. This is some Plat shit. This is some Plat shit.
Let's kick this off. I'll keep you up.
Just because you won the fight does not mean that that was a good decision at all. I mean, right here, right? Your team, this rotation is taking you so long just so you can get a flank angle that's kind of useless anyways. Your Kriko died. I mean, yes, it's a headshot, but they were gonna die anyway. They were low. Oh, anyway, and like they were. I'm pretty sure they were pretty low, right? They were like getting damaged. They were burning or something. He was half HP. Even a body shot would have killed him. So, yeah. Basically anything that Ash could have killed him, that Ryan could have killed him. You know, even the Moira probably could have eventually finished him off by the time you got around to heal. Because you're not even close to being able to heal him right now. It's not like, you know. So now this is because of you. Sebastian's gonna die because of you. You are down. You are in a 3v5 solely because you made this rotation. And it's not the first time you've done something like this. And I guarantee you in your gameplay, I guarantee you I could watch any given Ana game of yours, and this would happen a couple of times. This is, even if it's just the one time in this game, this is one team fight that you should have lost. And like, if this happens all the time, let's say you do it once a game, you're just hamstringing yourself by one team fight every time. Stop. You're skipping to step 4. And I don't want to be like, you should never play make. It's when those other 3 are satisfied of, you know, 1 is satisfied, 2 is satisfied, 3, you don't feel like, when you skip from 3 to 4, it's a little different. It's like, I could poke at the enemy here, but there's a specific reason I feel like I'm not going to get value. I'm not getting enough value for that, and I could get away with 4 right now, and this is a good time to do it because nothing really is happening. Or there's a good opportunity where I don't feel like anyone's gonna die and I can just go land this nade. Like, you know, they usually are cheeky little quick flanks, like quick off angles. Like, let's say you're healing the Orisa from behind here and they're up here, and then you can real quick shift angles real quick to the right side, throw the nade in, the Ryan's shielding this way, and then you got that playmaking. And then you go right back to healing the teammate. You go right back to the other side, heal the teammate, or even from there, it doesn't matter. That's a different thing. And when I say playmaking, I don't necessarily always mean flanking. I mean like, oh, we're gonna nanoblade this. We're gonna, you know what I mean? Like, we're gonna take the initiative here and make the play, and make the combo, make the ult play.
King the point. Backup would be wonderful.
So you should have lost this fight. I don't know why they backed off so much right here, especially with their Moira. This Ryan should have come up here and curb stomped your Orisa and not let him. He shouldn't have been able to walk away.
Keep fighting.
They basically conceded this fight for free. The Moira's the only one who didn't give up on it.
Take the objective. Support your quest.
It's not like they were always up. Even when they got the two return even when you got the two return frags, they were still up because they even killed one more. They were never down in that fight. So I don't know why they backed off. Anyway, it's kind of a moot point. Kind of a look like, what are you doing? Like, what was the? I'm talking about this whole other fight. What was the whole purpose of all this? Okay, again, you're going for the anti-nade when there's nothing really going on. Now you don't have a cooldown for 5 seconds. Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? What's the rotation? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? What are you doing? What do you do? Oh, now you're actually gonna die. Why did you not just stay where you were? You were fine where you were. The other location was 110% fine. I mean, you could argue that Hanzo could have hit you there, but you could have just hugged that other wall. I mean, you're never really going to be able to completely iron out the possibility that Hanzo could at any point just erase you. But if you're that worried about it, look, you got this whole cover right here. You've given him such a tiny shot. Your head is like barely peeking over these stairs. That is such a difficult shot for him to hit with 2 people in his face. Just not really going to happen realistically. I mean, at least not in Plat, not consistently. You could also play this wall and play this angle, and then if they push you, I kind of like your current spot the most. You could also play this wall, you can play here, you can play the stairs over here on the other side and get this angle. I'm not in love with that because they could at any point flank around and you kind of wouldn't know about it unless you heard them. But yeah, why leave the spot? Because you could have helped your Ashe right here. Because if they push you, all you have to do is like crouch when you're standing here. All you have to do if they push you is fucking crouch, and you're good. Or if they not if they push you, if they pressure you. I mean, if they push you, you need to rotate. I think you wanted to get the high ground up there, but like you thought you could go around the other way. You just not know the map. I don't understand what you're trying to do there. Yeah. So, reaction time was very slow there. I'd argue that the mistake wasn't even here. It wasn't even the Ryan. You could have slept this Ryan. You had sleep off cooldown. I'd argue that the mistake was all that rotating for no reason, like letting the Ashe die. Because at this point, you're pretty much gonna lose this fight. It's a neutral fight, right? There's no ults. There's no ults in this fight. This is what you call a neutral fight. Nobody has any ults. This is all just everybody's still building. And this is all non-ult fight, right? And when a team goes up 1 in a non-ult fight, generally that team will win. You wasted the nade trying to get the big anti again on an angle that is almost, it's not impossible, but it's near impossible. Like this nade has to be the exact perfect angle. You actually cleared the ceiling here, which was very as close as you can get it, which was kind of what you needed, maybe a little lower. But it needs to land on the perfect arc and then land on the floor right there. Goes too far. So that's just a low percentage nade. Not a good nade. And you just wasted your cooldown now. Now this Moira can identify... A good Moira would be like, oh, yeah, this guy just used his nade. Wow, this is a free kill right here. Yes, the Kiriko could turn around and help, but all he has to do is fade out as soon as the Kiriko comes and helps. And if he does that, if this Moira pressures you right now and then the Kiriko is forced to come help you... well, actually, let me put it this way, right? If this Moira pressures you right now, one of 2 things is going to happen. The Kiriko is going to come help you, and then the Orisa is going to die because now he's not getting heals, and this whole enemy team is going to shoot him. Or the other possibility is he's going to just kill you. So, and then if you fight him back, if you pressure him back, he can just fade out at any time. So... That's what he does here, right? And so actually it ended up even worse than that, right? He pressures you, and then the Kiriko comes and helps you, dies for it, and now you're down both supports in addition to. So like it's just Stop wasting your cooldowns trying to make a play when there's nothing there. When the opportunity is there, make the play. When the opportunity is there, make the play. When it's there. The whole sequence is totally different. If you have your nade, because then you could just nade yourself. You're not, which you probably wouldn't do, but you could in theory just nade yourself. Then the Kiriko doesn't have to come back to peel for you, and even if she does, you don't feel as pressured, so you're not so bogged down with the Moira that you don't sleep the Rhine. Because it seemed like you were just so distracted by the Moira, you just didn't react in time to the Rhine coming at you. Kind of tunneled. You kind of tunnel visioned a little bit. Which is fine. It's hard to iron out tunnel vision. I don't want to harp on you for that. It's a difficult thing to, like, rid yourself of. Is he going to follow the tank? Or is he going to go, I got to go in the off angle because the tank's going this way, I'm going to parallel push. You could at any point get booped off here by the Ashe if you were smarter and kind of peeked over the edge here, but I'm fine with this. I would probably hold this angle right here because you're less at risk and you have cover better. This angle's fine too. Nano be Risa, Nano be Risa, okay. Right, so you use your nade. You tried to heal the Orisa with it because he was critical. I understand that nade, that's fine. This whole thing, yeah, you kind of wasted your sleep. You're trying to just get value, and it's because you use your sleep that the Moira comes out. This Moira is very smart. This guy is gonna climb because he's looking for opportunities of, oh, this guy uses both his cooldowns. I'm in there. Free kill. So, the nade wasn't the mistake. The sleep was the mistake. Especially when you don't have... Especially you gotta look at it this way, right? If you don't have one cooldown, you kind of have to hold the other one. Because if you use them both, you're so vulnerable that you will die. Like, look at that. The Moira barely did anything. He just dropped down through his orbit you and held right-click, and that was it. That's all and you fall over. There's nothing you can do. Even if you were Jonak right here, you would have died. Like, right here? Even if you're Jonak, you die. You don't even have time to get 3 shots off. Let alone it might even take 4 because of the self healing. I think I don't know how that would play out. She would get like 22 healing per second or something like that. 20, I think it is. So you would probably only take 3, I think. But yeah, it would be close. Either way, even if you were Jonak right here, you would have died. So once you use that nade, you kind of have to hold the sleep because you have to be like, well, if something happens, I need a way to win that fight. Because it's totally different if he drops down on you and you have sleep. Now at least you have a chance. If you hit the nade, if you hit the sleep, you can live. Now is it low percentage? Yeah, it's a little bit low percentage, but at least you have a chance. You've given yourself no chance. I wouldn't say this fight's like really your fault, but I have to find something to say about this fight, right? This is kind of a rushed fight where you guys kind of went in before you were necessarily ready. On the whole. And that really has more to do with your tank than you. So, it's not your fault, but... I mean, look, there was a mistake in the... right? Even the fight that wasn't your fault, there's still a mistake in there. For your soldier. Yep, nice. Good shots.
No one can hide from my sight.
I would just play here and just heal the monkey when he jumps. No need to do anything weird here. Okay? Yep. Nade into no man's land. That's just gonna he's just gonna shield for the duration of it. Oh look, no value. Not no value, you force the Rhine to... I don't want to say no value, right? You force the Rhine to play defensive for a couple seconds, right? It allows it takes a little bit of pressure off your team, but what was the Rhine realistically gonna do during all that? And now you just don't have your nade. Wouldn't a nade have been good right there? You're just wasting your cooldowns. That's all there is to it. I mean, you also threw your sleep in there. Let's see the sleep. It got bubbled off. I can see that sleep. You're trying to take some pressure off your monkey. If you land down the Rhine, you might be able to heal him through whatever's going on here. But yeah, it's time to leave. It's time to leave. But it is about to be last fight. But I would have. I'm gonna be honest. Could you get away with it? I would have right here when they're all focused on the soldier, maybe try to rotate around this way I can touch from the other side from an unexpected spot. You're never going to be able to walk right in and touch right here on them to force overtime. I don't know if the rotation would take too long though. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd have to test it. I would have probably tried to go the other way. I kind of highly doubt you're going to be able to walk right in and they're just going to let you touch. Yeah, so, alright, that's it. Alright, here's the big problems, right? You're skipping steps. You're putting yourself, you're isolating yourself. You're so focused on getting off angles and flanking and trying to have agency over the game that you're taking agency away from yourself because you're constantly putting yourself in 3v5s because your team dies when you do rotations. Yeah, you just need to play a little bit more boring. You just need to play a little bit more boring. You need to play a little bit more backline. I'm just going to heal my team, and then I'm going to look for those opportunities. Because when those opportunities are there, you know your nades are great. You know your sleep accuracy is great. Your scope accuracy is great. So, yeah, and you need to have a little bit more intent behind your cooldowns and your ultimates. And you need to be quicker at realizing when those opportunities are there and pulling the trigger. It's so funny because you pull the trigger so haphazardly all the time. But then when an actual opportunity, because you're trying to force an opportunity, but then when an actual opportunity is there, you're not recognizing it quick enough, and that'll come with time. But I'll tell you this, it'll come with time when you use intent, right? You're never gonna learn the difference between a good opportunity and not a good opportunity when you're just spamming your cooldowns. But if you're holding your cooldown for a good opportunity and then you see a good opportunity and you're like, is that a good opportunity? I'm gonna try my nade right here, and then it works out. You can store that in your memory bank of, oh, that was a good thing. When those situations arise again, I'm gonna I'll be more prepared next time, and it gets quicker and quicker over time like that. And then it's like a tree, right? If yes, then try it again next time. If no, then maybe it wasn't so good. And then you know, and you kind of develop that over time. And that's what I talk about where top 500 players are trying to kind of refine their gameplay, their micro decision making. But for you, I would say it's just about trying to hold your cooldowns for those opportunities, and then when they're there, just pull the trigger. If you think it's there, pull the trigger quickly on the ults and the cooldowns. If you think it's there, but wait until then. It has to have some intent, some reasoning behind it. Like, oh well, their Rhine shield is broken, so I'm gonna nade. You know, that's playmaking. Okay. Hold your cooldown to them, because if you spammed your cooldown before for no reason, trying to just force a play, then when the play is actually there, you don't have to nade for it. So now that's a big mistake, right? So yeah, and then you're isolating yourself too much. You're going on these weird rotations, letting people die. You knock that off. There's a time and a place to make a cheeky play. It's once or twice a game. I don't want to say once or twice a game. It's a hard and fast rule. But they're not as frequent as you're trying to force them to be, is what I'm trying to say. So, and then when an enemy team catches on to you, you're doing that all the time, they're just going to keep punishing you for it, like the Rhine did, right? Or the Moira. The Moira did it too. So, yeah, they are identifying what you're doing, and they're countering, they're punishing you. That is punishing. And the higher you go up the ladder, the more you'll get punished for mistakes, and that's the beauty of it, right? The more you can realize, oh, these are mistakes I'm making here. So yeah. All right. I think that's gonna be it. I think that's good. I think I'm gonna leave it at that. Thanks for watching if you made it this far. I really hope this helps not only just the what was it, Egro Simp 69. I hope it helps anyone who watches it. Yeah, if you made it this far in, you know, please throw me a like and a subscribe. I'm going to be making more coaching content going forward, I think, as opposed to like the random VODs I've just been putting on of my own gameplay. I think I'm just going to be doing coaching now. I might even coach a few of my own games. But yeah, all right. So thanks for watching, and yeah, goodbye. Have a good day.